Put down your baby and pick up a beer. Dad Jokes is back with a brand new episode. I'm Jerry, joined here by Brandon. You're listening to the podcast of two first-time dads going through the journey of fatherhood with all of you listening. And Brandon, what's been going on this week with you, buddy?
Oh, it's been a pretty great week. Bryce is 9 months old, which is exciting. He's gone through a little bit of a sleep regression, which it seems like, and everything we've seen. And I know I kind of mentioned it last week, but it's been every night's a little bit. He might sleep through the night. He may wake up 15 times in the night. So we'll see how tonight goes. But during the day, he's his normal, happy self who will not sit still for the life of me or Kelsey. He is just like he is ready to be moving around. He's ready to be walking, crawling, all of the above. And the crawling thing, next episode or the episode after, I would be willing to bet that we're going to be talking about the kid crawling, because he's doing everything but. He can tumble around the room, he can go backwards, he can do everything but go forward. So, but overall, it was a pretty uneventful week. He has his 9-month appointment tomorrow with his doctor. So we haven't been to the doctor for 3 months, actually, since his 6-month appointment. So we're looking forward to that. We have a few questions that we want to have answered by the doctor, things that we've been wondering about just a little bit. So I'll have more to report next week. But it's been a good week. You guys?
Yeah, no, I mean, we've had kind of a for us at least, it seems like a pretty standard week. Peyton's been doing pretty decent at nighttime. She's been going down easier, and it seems like she goes down better for me than for Macy. I don't know why, or trying to put too much thought into it, but I seem to have better luck, so I've been putting her down, and she seems to be going down pretty well. Most nights she wakes up once in the middle of the night. Macy will feed her, and usually she'll go back down pretty decent, but it's rare that she doesn't get up at least once, so she's on a pretty good schedule now. If anything, I think her bedtime might be a little bit later than it should be just because of our work schedule, so sometimes we put her down slightly earlier on weekends or if we're both home. But she's doing a lot better, so that's good there. She's definitely at the stage where she wants to play with everything and wants to be doing something constantly. She's full of a lot of energy. She's kind of making herself laugh a lot lately. She's got this new thing, Brandon. It's kind of like an evil smile. She like looks at you and she's got this like little sinister smile on her, and it's hilarious looking, but it's kind of creepy. She like does it, and then she just like kind of like does like this half giggle. So I think we're in trouble because I'm not sure where this laugh is coming from, but it's cute but kind of scary. We were around some friends today, and even they were like, what is that laugh? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know where she gets that from, but it's a new thing in the last week or two, so it's kind of been fun seeing it. But she'll make dead eye contact with you when she does it too. So
is she getting that from you or Macy?
I don't know. It's the craziest thing. She'll be in her like little activity center, and she'll be banging around, playing. She'll laugh, and she'll look at you, and she just kind of like will give you this look, and just kind of laugh. And I don't know how to describe it. I'll have to try to get a picture of it, but it's funny. It's entertaining to say the least. But yeah, she's doing good. She's sitting up great. She's playing with new toys, figuring out new things. She actually is getting in the crawling position. Not quite obviously crawling, but she's getting in the position and kind of she can move. So whether it's rolling or army crawling or whatever you want to call it, she can get to different places. And we're trying to like hold her up, so she's working on her standing. And she's not doing this yet, but I don't think it'll be long before she's kind of propping herself up when we do that and like holding on to things and just kind of standing there. So we'll see. We spent some time with some friends today, and their baby, one of our friends, their baby's very similar in age to Bryce, and she started crawling recently, and she was getting into everything. So it was kind of fun, but also kind of one of those things where you see, you're like, yeah, maybe don't wish for it too early, because she was getting into anything and everything she could. So, that's kind of what happens, what they say when you start crawling, right, Brandon?
Well, yeah, and that knowing that that's coming kind of brought me to our first piece of baby gear, and I'll go over mine. We bought a playpen finally.
You did?
So
Okay.
we did, and Bryce has had a really good time. One, for us, the way our house is set up, we definitely need more like usable storage area. So it tends to we Bryce has his own little corner in our house, and his stuff tends to end up a couple different places in the main room. One, this play area when he's not there turns into a pretty good spot to just like keep all of his stuff, which is pretty clutch if like anybody's coming over the house or anything like that. But it's worked out great so far. It's his area. He is able to kind of move around how he wants to in there. All the stuff is there, and so when that starts happening, he does have his own. It's a good enough area for him to move around how he wants to a degree. So we are a little bit ahead of the game there. We still got some baby proofing to do around the house, but I'm not as worried about it.
Yeah, that is something that I guarantee we will have when it becomes that time. It's almost necessary because you need a spot for them to kind of explore and do things, but they're probably too little to just let roam free, or maybe we're just not prepared quite for it yet. So yeah, that pen's great. But I will tell you, a mutual friend of ours, their kid, it seemed like 1.5 or not even that was already climbing out of it and stuff, and it almost becomes pointless. So it's a short-lived period, but if you can get a few months out of it, it makes your life a little bit easier and keeps you sane. It's probably worth it. So I know, like
you
I
got
said,
to time that second kid right, Jerry. Just keep them in use.
That's true too.
I'm all about return on investment.
Yeah, well, that's not bad. ROI. That's what we preach. But I have a piece of baby gear I'm pretty excited about. I told you a little bit about this before, but last week on the episode I talked about how I went to my niece's second birthday party, and at the second birthday party, one of my cousins was up from Kentucky. They actually listened to the podcast, so if Marie, you're listening, shout out to you. But she came up with her husband, and they just had a newborn a couple months ago, a little baby girl, Rosa. And she was telling me that they had these pajamas, because we were talking about pajamas and double zips versus snaps and stuff. She was telling me they have these pajamas that are magnetic. And I thought that was the coolest thing. And there's like 2 different brands that are kind of popular. There's Magnetic Me, I think, is the most popular one, and the more name brand one, if you will. And then Bye Bye Baby has a brand that's called E=MC². And we actually bought a pair of those. They weren't
That's pretty slick.
Yeah. They weren't bad. I think they were like $17 or something, so nothing too crazy. But we bought a pair of those, and she wore them for the first time last night. And I think it was this morning. I think we put them this morning. Yeah, it was this morning. And I will tell you, it was pretty cool. You don't have to mess with the zipper. You don't have to mess with snaps. It just magnet right shut. So we might buy a few more pairs. We'll see how this goes, but I so far liked them. It was very, very simple to use, and I don't know. I think it's kind of cool.
These magnets?
She's not getting out of it. I'll tell you that much.
This dude Bryce, I'm telling you now. So he has found. So the Nanit has like the latch that goes around, like the Nanit band.
Mm-hmm.
He can undo that. His diapers.
Yep.
If he's like walking around and he doesn't have a onesie on, he can definitely unlatch his diapers if he so chooses.
Yeah, we were hearing about that today from our friends saying that their daughter does the diapers, takes the diapers right off. So yeah, apparently that's a thing for our babies. I did not know that until today. That's actually a baby fact I learned today, that they like to take their diapers off.
Yeah, it's fun. He probably gets the same smile that Peyton has on her face when he does it. The little dude knows when he's doing something he's not supposed to be doing. It's actually annoying.
It is annoying. Yeah, Peyton likes a barrel roll when you try to change her now, which is super obnoxious, but she thinks it's hilarious. And I'm like, I'm trying to change it. And the worst thing, too, is if you have like the old diaper anywhere near, she tries to grab it now. So that's a fun thing. So
yeah, especially when there's poop in it.
Yep. Yeah, that happened multiple times. She pooped 4 times today, so I don't know what she was eating, but yeah, and she
poop
tried
top.
to. Yeah, exactly. And we're at the stage, Brandon, where it's no longer baby, poop. It's human, solid poop. So that's where we're at. So I know in episodes ago, you said, "Hey, just wait." Well, we're there. We've been there for a few weeks. So great job, Peyton. Good job. The real food's hanging on. Also, another fun thing that happened this week, Brandon. I don't know if Bryce has done this yet, but I'm sure he probably has. She had her first little pouch. You know, the little pouches with the food in it, like almost like the little almost smoothies, if you will. She had her first one, and she freaking loved it.
What was it?
I think it's strawberry bananas.
So I feel like the people who make those pouches are also the same people who make the scented candles at Bath and Body Works. Because they're like the same like flavor combination, like cucumber, melon, and
we have ones that we bought that actually came with our food maker where you just put it in, you do them yourself. That wasn't the first one she had, but we do have some of those.
Fancy.
So yeah, I mean they came with the maker, and it's kind of cool because then it's simple if you're traveling. You know, you just put that in there instead of having to have a jar or a spoon or anything like that, and they're dishwasher safe.
Applesauce.
Yeah, we're more basic than that. We're usually like, you know, carrots, butternut squash, you know, simple things. Not we don't
basic
mix a lot of
butternut squash.
Well, I didn't know that was a thing until baby food, but apparently it is, and Peyton loves it. So, butternut squash for the win. I don't think I've ever had it. I should probably try it. See if I like it.
I'm sure I've had it and didn't know.
Yeah, maybe.
That I was eating butternut squash.
You know what I just realized, though, Brandon? We are on the show Dad Jokes, and we have not had a dad joke yet.
That's
we
a good
skipped
point.
right over it
today.
Something
felt off about
something
the beginning
feels
of this episode.
off. Do you want to kick it off today, or do you want me to do the honors?
I will absolutely kick it off, Jerry.
Go for it.
What do female buildings wear to a house party?
I don't know.
Oh, this is super easy. You should get this. What do female buildings wear to a house party? A dress.
Clever.
A dress.
Clever. Mine's going to win today, just for the record. Just remember this moment because mine's going to win today. Speaking of winning, last week's episode, our top 10s.
Last week you cheated.
I think that's, you know, I won the joke, but I also won the top 10 lists. So we'll I don't think there's been overwhelmingly one way or the other, but I feel I did get the victory. Even listening back to it, I was like, yeah, my list won. Although we did have two of the top 3 or 2 of the top 5 same songs, which is just bizarre to me still that we did that.
I also, our buddy Nick listened to the episode and pointed out a song that I absolutely missed, and it's from a Goofy movie. I used to listen to that. I used to watch that movie religiously with a.
It's such an underrated movie.
That actually we brought up like things that are not actually underrated last week. That is actually underrated. That might actually be the most underrated Disney movie.
And I'm pretty sure when I was a kid, I was a weird kid. I didn't like pizza, but that movie might have made me start liking pizza.
And canned cheese,
exactly.
Pizza and canned cheese,
and wanting to skateboard. That was all from the Goofy movie.
Yeah, I never was in for the skateboarding.
Yeah, that movie was really good though. Talk about underrated movies, it was.
That movie made me emotional actually. Like Max was kind of a jerk to Goofy.
Oh,
Goofy just wanted Max
he's so mean.
Like,
speaking of Goofy
like
though, have you ever understood how Disney made Goofy a dog that can talk and do everything, but Pluto just barks and acts like a dog? I don't understand the dynamic there. Who thought of that, and how's that okay? I don't get it. I'm just gonna throw it out there.
I've never had that thought, but I rarely have thought of Pluto, to tell you the truth.
Pluto's
is
cool.
That Mickey Mouse's dog?
Yeah.
Okay, I know who it is. Really.
Pluto's his dog, but Goofy's his friend, and they're both dogs.
I haven't really watched much Mickey Mouse stuff. Like I don't even really get why Mickey Mouse is popular. Hey, what does Mickey Mouse do?
Hey, kids love it though. I kind of thought because when we were kids, I don't feel like it was as big, but now all my nieces and nephews love Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. They like Mickey Mouse Racers, and like my one nephew right now for his birthday, that's what we got him is Mickey Mouse stuff. He loves some Mickey Mouse right now, so I think it's coming back. But I'm with you. I've never been one that's like super.
Mickey was a super lame to me.
Yeah, I'm much more into Bluey, which was my niece's second birthday party. Was a Bluey theme, and Bluey's probably the best kid show on right now. I'm gonna throw it out there.
Bluey?
Yeah, you need to watch it. It's great. It's fantastic. It's an Australian cartoon. They're dogs, and they're like 10-minute episodes. You need to watch it. It's fantastic. I'm telling you. Anyone who's seen it, I guarantee they agree with me. The dad's hilarious in it. Yeah, Peyton's already got a stuffed Bluey that her grandma bought her because why not need another toy? So that just happened this week. But yeah, that's what you need.
You want to know? We're listening to Jerry really becoming the get off my lawn dad because that's what she needs. Another toy.
She don't know any difference. The Bluey talks is more why I was saying that, I think, just because I got to hear it. And Macy found out that it doesn't have just 3 sayings; it has 9 sayings if you flip a switch.
Does it have an Australian accent?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, I can get down with that.
I'm telling you, watch one episode of Bluey and it'll change. It's a kid show you can get behind. If you want Bryce, and he's probably not there yet, but in a year or so, or even a few months or so, he starts watching some cartoons, that's the one to put on. It's on Disney Plus if you have it. So watch them. They're short.
Bryce is watching anything. He's watching Miss Rachel or Tab Time.
Boo. Bluey for the win.
No,
telling you right now. I'm telling you, the folks at home will agree.
Good, wholesome shows.
I like it. All right, Brandon. So today we are talking about something pretty interesting. I'm going to let you kick it off and kind of go over exactly what it is and why we're talking about it.
So we're talking about the Montessori Method, what it is, why you use it, things like that. And I guess I will preface this by saying I am a little biased. I grew up in a Montessori based education way back in the day. My parents researched a bunch of schools, and then there was a school locally called Alpha Montessori in downtown Flint that was very highly regarded, and that's where they sent me. And so for preschool in my formative years, I went to that school. And what's crazy is I started researching this in preparation for the show, and I've done some initial research even before this. And little stuff starts coming back to you. It's like what you kind of went through as a kid. I'm saying went through like it was a tough thing. It really wasn't. But ultimately, the Montessori method was developed by someone named Maria Montessori, Dr. Maria Montessori, in the early 1900s. It's child-centered. It's a child-centered method of education that really involves child-led activities. They kind of refer to that as work. In the classrooms actually vary in ages, and the teachers encourage independence among the pupils. What does that mean in kind of layman's terms? You kind of break it down. You can have classes. So a couple things that may be interesting to those who may not know it. The classes may be age ranges of a couple to a 3-year age difference. So you may have, let's say, 3, 4, or 5-year-old, or 4, 5, 6-year-old all in the same classroom. And instead of having like uniform desks across the board and one teacher sitting in the front teaching a curriculum, they're broken up into stations. Teachers are kind of observing the students, interacting with each other, and they have curriculum based on each level that the student is at. So it really, and I'm kind of dumbing it down a ton, but it's based on the students learning at their level. You have a lot of freedom within the limits of the actual student. So there's a ton to go over. Do you have anything to input there so far?
Yeah, so I think, a big thing about Montessori theory, if you start looking it up, and I did not grow up, going through this process of education, and I don't know many people other than yourself who have, but through my research and kind of reading about it is one, if you want some people that have done this and find it very successful, Jeff Bezos is a big proponent of Montessori theory. So is the 2 gentlemen that founded Google. So there's a lot of successful people that I guess really recommend it if you're looking for any validation in it. But really what it's preaching is independence and trying to create learning to not be a chore or to be negative, but to be positive. And you want children to kind of learn on their terms and kind of figure out the way that they best can grow and not force certain skills down their throat, not tell them where they have to be at certain points. And if a child maybe isn't developing the way that quote unquote they're supposed to, and you keep trying to push something, it can have negative connotations towards them growing and adapting and learning. So this theory or this type of education allows them to kind of choose their own speed, choose their kind of interests and paths, and it opens them up to overall having higher self-esteem. And a big thing that you'll read about with Montessori theory is independence. It really teaches children to be independent, to think for themselves, and to gain skills and have confidence in the skills that they are learning. I mean, that's kind of what I picked up. Does that make sense, Brandon? Am I kind of on target with what you experienced?
Absolutely. And what we're talking about right now is, and it's the Montessori from a schooling perspective. But what we also are going to discuss and need to discuss is Montessori in the home. And so just personally, myself and Kelsey's philosophy on this is not necessarily going full-fledged Montessori method. So if we were going that route, that would be going as far as in Bryce's nursery, you would set up like hooks, like for his clothes, things like that are accessible on his level. And this could be something we still decide to do, even in like school. So this is one thing I remember growing up: the sinks and the toilets from preschool. This is the only thing I remember about preschool. Like in the few years I was at preschool, I remember like the sinks. I remember the bathroom being very colorful, and I remember the sinks being at my level, where I just basically walked up to the sink as a 3-year-old, and I could wash my hand. And the point is that you're treating the children as humans, as adults, and not necessarily as like, you're not necessarily talking down to them. It is the overall point. So it's promoting kind of a spirit of independence, as Jerry mentioned, where they really start figuring things out for themselves. So instead of doing for them, you're putting them in a position as the adult in the room where they can do for themselves. And the philosophy behind that is really what I gravitate towards. So, and that's, I mean, we've done things like that in just how we've had like the feeding episode. And baby-led weaning, even to a degree, is an offshoot of the Montessori method. With the kid, I shouldn't say it like that from a baby-led weaning perspective. It's the kid actually picking up the fork, eating for themselves, things like that Kelsey and I have incorporated in how Bryce eats. Now he's picking his food up, he's grabbing the spoon, he's putting it to his mouth, things like that. So if we were to go full-fledged, as I started to say, into the Montessori method at home, that would be changing his nursery basically to bring everything to his level. It's decluttering everything, so and keeping everything pretty strict from you only have the Montessori based toys. So they call Montessori based toys, if you look like Love Every kits, that those are a good way to get an example of them. They consider them really high quality. Part of that, I think, is just marketing, to tell you the truth. The person who established it actually specifically taught low income, like in Italy. So she didn't have access to the best materials. So I find it very hard to believe that, like, if you look up Montessori now, they preach that it's the highest level or highest quality toys, things like that. Perfectly fine. I'm good with it, but I don't think that's how it actually started. That's just my opinion. But you have high quality toys, and natural objects, and they're task based toys, and activity based things that, instead of just having flashing lights and bright lights, screen time, things like that, things that make your child think, and aren't gonna just distract. It makes their brain actually work, and they spend time using it, things like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, like you said, a lot of times if you want to bring it into the household, the key things I read about were organization. You want things to be organized, and you want them to make sense. So they need to be organized in a way that makes sense, not just because you have a sensible, a certain place you put things. No, they need to be organized based on, what it is, or like alphabetical order type stuff like that, and then to be relatively clean. You don't want a lot of clutter. You don't want stuff everywhere. You want things to be in particular places. And when a baby's playing with a toy or two, they're playing with that toy or two. They're not playing with 15 things on the ground. And they're focusing on what that toy does. And like you said, a lot of times those toys are meant to teach or to be like a task-driven thing. As far as like your nursery, once you go to a bed, having the bed be on the floor level, having, like you said, like hooks at the floor level, having mirrors at the floor level, so they're able to interact with things as if they're a full grown adult. Those are different ways that you can do that. But some things that I read, Brandon, so look, if we're talking about this, and, obviously, as anything, there's pros and cons to it. If it was 100% pros, everyone would do it, right? And if it was negative, no one would do it. So what are the pros and cons, and how can you decide if it's good for you and your family? Well, some of the pros are it teaches independent learning. It helps your kid be independent and kind of grow on that level. It also is known to enhance social interaction. So they become more fascinated with other children, what they're doing, why they're doing what they're doing, asks questions, things like that. It helps cultivate a love for learning. That's a big one. It really helps show kids why you want to learn, and it makes kids excited about learning instead of it being like a task or a chore. Another thing is it's very inclusive of kids with special needs. So that is another positive about the Montessori theory. Some negatives or cons, it can be expensive. That's something definitely you want to look at. Like you mentioned, the toys, but not just the toys. Also, if you're sending them to a school, it can be excessive or expensive. Also, it's not always easily accessible, so you might have to go far for it, or somewhere that's not convenient. The curriculum sometimes is too loose for parents. Like, it's very determined by who the teachers are. So if the teachers don't do it in the right manner or kind of very loose with it, it can turn into basically kids just doing whatever they want to do. And are they really learning what they need to be learning? So that can be a con. And then lastly, another con is that, as much as it teaches independence, independence isn't everything. A lot of times when you get older, working in teams, working in groups, working in environments that are more inclusive of a lot of people, that is important. And if you're strictly independent, it can make kids feel alienated or, almost different from other people. I mentioned Jeff Bezos. I think that, he has a very different personality than a lot of other people. Not that it's good or bad, but it can promote certain things that some people say that isn't great for future workplace environments. So those are some pros and cons that I picked up.
If you're looking at basically real world, most jobs require you to work in a group setting. Even if you look at the college both of us went to, it was we jokingly call it, or I jokingly call it, Group Project U. This is not the school that necessarily gets you ready for that. Or maybe it gets you ready to be the person that just takes care of everything on your own while everybody else like rides your coattails, which you probably felt like a lot of the time.
At times.
You mentioned Bezos. What was interesting, in 2018, he put or pledged $1 billion to fund low-income specific Montessori's at the preschool level. So I thought that was interesting as well. And overall, for us, it's going to be something that we use in combination. So some people look at this and it's kind of becoming more and more popular now, and it's starting to become a buzzword again, with newborns, with babies, and people are looking at it to kind of shun like screen time, things like that, as far as how people are parenting. I think that for us, it's going to be a happy medium, but with the lean towards the Montessori method. You mentioned the expense and access. Currently in the city we live in the area we live in, I went to the American Montessori Society, which is like the accredited Montessori, because basically Maria Montessori, she didn't at the time trademark her last name. So you got a lot of different places that might call themselves Montessori's, but it won't necessarily follow the technical tried and true method. So if this is something that appeals to you, you may want to do research. Not may want to do. You do want to do research on the school that you send your child to. But on average, these preschools and like elementary schools are costing anywhere from $12,000 to $15,000 a year. Most of them are private schools. You only have about you only have about 5,000, or should be 500 like public or charter and no cost to the parent schools in the country that are Montessori's, of over 2,000 Montessori schools. So it's something that you are going to end up coming out of pocket for potentially. In our area, I saw one based on the American Montessori Society. Now, does that mean that there's only one that calls themselves Montessori? No. But going from who are considered to be the experts in the field, it's one that's accredited. But overall, it's a different way to look at educating your child. The one thing we didn't necessarily get into or haven't yet is the freedom without or within limits aspect of it, and that's the part that kind of rubs some people the wrong way, and it's all, some people look at it as letting the child lead their education. I don't necessarily look at it the same way. It's the parent or the adult is still the adult in the room. You put the kid in a position to succeed, and they ultimately need to respect themselves, their peers, and their environment. But I think the Montessori method is something that we are going to ultimately do.
Yeah, I think it's something that, me and Macy haven't really gone over. I don't know that we'll go down as far as like actual formal schooling with the Montessori method, but it is something that there's definitely proponents of.
I don't know if we will either.
Yeah, I mean, it's something, though, like you said, the method in proponents of it in our household we're already doing, and then I know we'll continue to do. One, I do think that I tend to want toys that help her learn, and I tend to try to, like, instead of just overstimulation, like you said, having like a bunch of things, I like to have things that, like, can she figure it out? Is it a puzzle? Is she gaining something from that? And right now it's still probably a little too early, because she's 6 months. But those are the toys that I want. And books, like I'm huge into books and into reading and learning. But we've talked about it before. If you start reading and the baby's not interested or not into it at that moment, and you try to force it, it has a negative connotation. So again, trying to pick up on when the baby's in the mood to play with certain toys or to read or to want to learn certain things, so that they look at learning and they look at playing positively, not negatively. I think that can go a long way. Again, not telling them, hey, you don't need to learn these skills, or hey, you don't need to find these things important, but also not making them do it just to do it, because I don't want Peyton to look at things and go, I hate this, or I hate reading, or I hate playing with certain things. I want her to enjoy doing those things. So bits and pieces you can pick, you can choose, but I do think it's very healthy, Brandon, to look at different modes and different ways to learn and practices that you can help do at home, or if you're sending your kid out into the world. All those things are important. So you should, as a parent, even if they're newborns or even not born yet, it never hurts to start doing the research and figuring out what you want to do, because there's a lot of options out there and there's a lot of research out there. So trying to figure out what would be best for you and your family, it can be important. And I know you specifically, you didn't have just one method. You went to multiple schools, had a lot of different methods. So it's not like you definitely have to pick one and stick to it either. You can kind of call an audible in the middle of it if it doesn't feel right for your specific kid.
Yeah, I'm the number one like tenet of the Montessori method is observation. It's like watch the child and adjust their environment to support their development. And I think my mom did that, and she might have over adjusted, because I went to like 6 different elementary schools growing up, and we didn't move. My parents are still in the same house they were in when I was growing up.
Every time I talk to you, I find out you went to a new school. I'm like, I thought you went here, and you're like, well, I did, but then I went here, and then I did this,
Yeah.
and So yeah, you had an interesting past with education, and
what I will say, to the point of the Montessoris, there are a lot of people who I know who were in my quote unquote class in the Montessori, and pretty much all the ones who I know are very successful right now. I'm talking doctors, lawyers, and multiple.
Yeah, there is a lot.
That's my little case study.
There is a lot of people out there that are big proponents of it, and there's, like I said, a lot of big names that back it. The interesting part to me is it's been around for a long time, and it was popular, and then it kind of went away, and now it's becoming popular again. I find it interesting to, like, why did it grow then shrink then grow again? Is it a marketing thing? Is it, it seems interesting, and I'm sure there's a lot of reasons, not just one, but I do find that it's kind of, you don't want it to be a trend type thing. You want it to be backed by actual evidence. So, and it sounds like it is, like, from everything I've done. It seems weird that it would have gone away. You know what I mean, Brandon?
I do think and I think gone away is tough. I think I don't know how popular it'll be or ever really be based on the access it has. You'd almost need, like, the government to change the way they do school for it to, like, be as popular as it almost needs to be.
Yeah, and education's a hot topic. Education's a hot topic right now, and people are looking for alternate methods, and rightfully so. There's a lot going on. There's a lot to think about. That's something that I'm sure in future episodes we'll have conversations about, the whole, private versus public versus, homeschooling versus Montessori method. I mean, different ways.
All three of those too.
Exactly, you did. So you can speak on them all, but it's something to look into. Like I said, if you haven't heard of it before, I didn't know a ton about it until I did preparation for the show. It's interesting to look through, and some things you might already be doing or are big fans of and didn't even know it was from this method. So I recommend looking at different articles or looking at different websites and kind of seeing what it's all about and why, the science behind why they do what they do, because it might be right for you and your family or for your child.
Yeah, long story short, if you want your kid to be successful in life, you need to send them to a Montessori school.
Then I guess I don't know how I'm doing all right, Brandon, because I did not. I went to 3 different elementary schools though, so I'm kind of similar to you there. I did go to 3 different public elementary schools. Maybe that's a trick. 3 different elementary schools. My parents moved a lot when I was younger, so.
For the record, because sometimes my sarcasm, I listen back to these. And, like, you can see my face and know I'm smiling. It doesn't come across at all. I was joking. Just so we make that clear.
Hey, me and Brandon work at the same place, and we went to different schools, so it's okay.
Yeah.
But Brandon, now is my time to destroy you.
This joke better be great.
Jokes.
This joke better be great.
Why did 4 not date 5?
Kelsey just told me this. Or did you just tell me this? What is it?
Because he was too squared.
Yeah. Kelsey just told me this. So I don't know what TikTok y'all saw that on or what.
I didn't see that on TikTok. I don't watch TikTok. But I did see it somewhere. I can't remember where.
She just saw it somewhere and said it to me.
That's funny. Is that not a funny joke? She obviously thinks she even agrees with me. Your wife even agrees that it's funnier than your joke.
She didn't say it was funnier than my joke.
It's a math joke. I love math. 2 squared.
It's fine. It's fine.
It was pretty decent. I think it was pretty decent.
It was funnier the first time I heard it. I think the delivery was better.
Yeah, it probably was better because I was trying to make sure I didn't mess it up. I'm like doing the numbers in my head because there's like the old joke. Why did 7? Why was 9 afraid of 7? Because 7, 8, 9
because
or whatever.
7, 8, 9. And that's what I was trying to. I was trying to do that when she asked me to joke.
Yeah,
I was like,
it was in my head, so I'm like trying to like make sure I delivered the joke accurately. But so my delivery might not have been the best, but it was accurate, so I'm okay with that.
I don't remember what that was just on. She literally just told me that joke.
You have to ask her because I don't remember. It was probably on like I don't know, a dad page or something like that. Sometimes I see stuff on. I'm not sure. But, hey, there's another thing, too, Brandon, really quick. I meant to go over this, and I'll go over it in more detail on our next podcast. But this is a big week for Macy and I. We actually are going out of town. We are going to Nashville. We won I say one up. Our store won an honor, and I'm going on behalf of them for. It's a work trip, but it's for fun. And it's during CMA Fest, and we're going to Nashville, so we're excited for that. We're gone for a few days, and work's paying for it, which is great. But the big thing is we're going without Peyton, so we're going to be gone for a couple days without the baby. It'll be our first time away together without her, so our mother-in-law is watching her. It'll be her first time watching her overnight, so it's kind of a big deal. We're excited to have the time together and get away, but we're also very nervous and have a little bit of anxiety about being gone. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. We come back Saturday. We leave Wednesday. We come back Saturday. So we're only gone 2 days where we actually don't see her, and we'll be back in time before our podcast to kind of tell you exactly how it went. But that's a big deal this week. So we're kind of preparing for that right now, which that's a whole thing. We'll have to have an episode on this because the whole preparing beforehand, setting it up, and being gone, that's a big deal. So we'll have to have an episode actually on this specifically, maybe after you guys do it for the first time too. If you guys do
Kelsey
this
ain't
too.
leaving that baby.
It might be great. It might be the best thing that's ever happened. I don't know. It'll be good. I'm sure there'll be some tears and it'll be tough, but it'll be fun. And it'll be a good experience for probably both us and my mother-in-law and probably Peyton a little bit too. She probably won't even notice, let's be honest. I don't know. She has some separation anxiety going on right now, but usually it's good after a couple minutes. We'll see how it goes. But I'm excited. But so that's next week's episode. We'll talk about that at least. And then some other things. Of course, we'll hear what's going on with Bryce, see if he's crawling yet. I'm excited to hear about that. I'm sure it's any time now. I know it's going to be any time now. So that'll be good. But for everyone listening, if you haven't liked us on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, or commented or told any of your friends about us, please do. We love each and every one of you and love hearing from you guys. So for everyone listening at home, I'm Jerry, joined here by Brandon, and you've been listening to Dad Jokes.